Imagine having a personal assistant that not only simplifies complex information, but also organizes your thoughts on books, podcasts, and much more. Sounds kind of like a dream, right? Well, it's not. It's a reality with Mem's new smart card feature. And in this tutorial, we're going to get into how Mem's smart card feature can streamline your research process and help you transform chaos into clarity. We'll get into how you can synthesize podcast transcripts, books, and any other pieces of information you have in your knowledge base like never before in a matter of minutes. Now, let's get to the tutorial. So what I'm going to do in this video is go over Mem's new smart cards feature, which is incredibly cool and amazing for organizing any type of research, whether you're a writer, whether you're an academic researcher. It's a really great way to synthesize and distill resources. And in a lot of ways, it automates the concept of what Tiago Forte calls progressive summarization, where rather than having to manually go through and do a bunch of bolding, highlight the most relevant quotes and key concepts, we're going to basically automate this and create a comprehensive overview of any piece of information so that that piece of information is completely distilled. So we're really automating a combination of things, distillation as well as progressive summarization. And we're going to do two things. We're going to do this with a set of book notes, and we are going to do this for a blog post outline, all of which I have here. But one of the reasons that I'm actually showing you the outline for this video first is mainly so that you can see kind of some of the things that we can do. I basically went through and I asked MemChat, what are the things that you can do with smart cards? Because when Mem showed it in the newsletter, I think that one of the things that people probably didn't realize is that this actually is incredibly useful beyond just gathering simple pieces of information like your frequent flyer number for an airline or your KTN number when you check in, something that I often use when I go to the airport. But what this is going to do is allow you to create this really comprehensive resource based on any note that you have inside of your database. So I'm going to show you an example here. And you can see here, this is a framework that MemChat came up with where we can take a book and put all of this into one note. And you can see here that I had MemChat actually create a smart card for me for a podcast episode in which it basically distilled all the key themes. It pulled quotes. It even generated some, concepts, and it even gave me real life applications of all of this. And this all came from asking about 6 or 7 questions about a podcast episode, which, as you can see, this is actually better than almost all the show notes you would find for any episode, even my own, which AI has generated for me using other tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually go into how to do this. And the thing I want you to keep in mind is I'm going to show you step by step. We're going to go through several different prompts with a smart card. And at the very end, I'm going to show you a complete smart card of the first resource that we created. Oh, and the first use case I want to go through is summarizing a book. So what we're going to do is I'm going to close this window here, and then we're going to go into MemChat, and we're going to just go one by one, and we're going to have it create all of these. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a summary of the key insights from this book. And what MemChat will do is basically summarize the key insights from this book based on whatever book notes I've captured. So based on whatever the quotes I've captured are. Now, what I want to do is do a second smart card, which is going to be the main arguments inside of the book. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then finally, we're going to do another one with specific concepts and another one with notable quotes. And then finally, we will actually do one with real life applications. And once we've done all of this, what we'll do is we'll assemble it all into one sort of mega smart card that basically gives us a complete overview of the entire book. So for the next smart card, what we're going to do is we're going to ask it for specific concepts from the book. And basically what we're doing here is, like I said at the beginning, we're automating the process of summarizing this entire book. And you can see here that it gives us specific concepts. Again, it kind of repeated something that it went over. It kind of overlapped with, the key insights and specific concepts. And that's not a problem, but we can mention that to MemChat if we wanted to, or we can say, you know what, let's actually go deeper into one of these concepts, and we'll create a smart card that goes deeper into one concept. And so now what we're doing is we're basically expanding the value of this note and our core insights from this book in a way that we couldn't before. So you can see here that now it's given us this as well. And then finally, what I want to do is actually create a smart card in which we can talk about how to apply this in real life scenarios, which is one of the things that's very cool, because effectively what we're doing is we're taking knowledge that's theoretical and we're actually making it actionable, which I think is one of the most powerful things about Mem, is that it actually starts to help us break things down so that we can apply what we've learned to our own life. And so now we've got a pretty comprehensive overview of what this book is all about. And for one last thing we're going to do, I'm going to actually get a counter argument as well as some quotes from the book. So as you can see here, it's taking what it gave us as the key concepts or key insights, and it's expanding on those based on whatever our prompts are. And so now it's even giving us quotes. So basically you can see how that rather than having just a set of notes from a book or just a bunch of quotes, we've taken this and we've turned it into a really comprehensive overview that can be used much faster than referencing, say, a book. Now let's have one more thing here. We're going to go ahead and just put in a counter argument smart card. And then we're going to put this all together, and you'll see that what we have is this really thorough overview of this book, far beyond just the book notes or far beyond what we might be able to do just by doing this ourselves. And so we've got practical application, we've got counter arguments, we've also got quotes. And when we put it all together, you'll see what this all looks like. Okay, so basically you saw me go through all the different prompts where we asked MemChat for a bunch of different things from this book, Same as Ever. So you can see here that this book note is pretty messy. I know what the quotes are. I know what pages they come from. I've obviously taken my own smart notes on this as well. But what we've done here is we've taken what is basically kind of chaos and we've organized it, where we have the key insights, we have the author's main argument, we have a specific concept, and then we also have examples of how to practically apply these ideas along with the quotes from the book. So suddenly we've taken what seems like a static piece of information and made it incredibly dynamic, far more useful. It's effectively like a worksheet in which we turn our book into like our little mini course for ourselves. So that's one way to use smart cards. So you've seen how we can use smart cards to put together a summary of a book that's incredibly comprehensive, incredibly useful. But what about cases where we actually want to do more than synthesize information, where we want to actually create something? Well, that's where smart cards also can be really useful for doing something like outlining a blog post. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of sections of this blog post and we're going to create smart cards for the introduction, sections 1, 2, and 3. And then what we'll do is we'll actually take a resource or a book note and then also create a smart card for that book note, but specifically to incorporate into this blog post. So let's start with the very first one, which is going to be the blog post about productivity, or productivity being about input and effectiveness being about input. So that's the first thing we're going to do. And then what I'm going to have it do is create a smart card for section 2. So you can see here, it kind of gives us an introduction if we wanted it to be something that's already writing. One of the things I like to do here is to actually, rather than have it write the introduction for me, I like to use a bulleted list of questions that I can answer. So that way it ends up sounding like something that is in my own words. But we're going to do sections 2, 3, and 4. We could do this all in one go if you wanted to. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. And so what it's going to do is it's going to give us a sort of scaffolding to work with. So we're not starting from scratch. We have a pretty solid idea here, and we're going to be able to organize it all into different sections. So these would be the headers of our blog post once we decide to put it together. And then for the final thing, what we're going to do is we're going to create another smart card here. And in this smart card, what we're going to do is we're going to extract lessons from Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, that can specifically be utilized for this blog post that we are writing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this smart card together that pulls together my insights from Cal Newport's book Deep Work that I can incorporate into this into this blog post. So unlike the previous version where we summarized a book just for the sake of summarizing a book, we're actually going to use a smart card that is going to specifically be used in this particular blog post. So you can start to see how this makes a lot of your content planning and research or portions of doing any written work a lot more efficient. And one final thing we'll do is we'll just incorporate some quotes into this as well. And once we've gone through all of this, what I will do is show you a similar version of what we saw before, where you'll see the entire blog post laid out. So now that we've put all of this together, what you can see here is that we have all the different sections of the blog post. We have key insights from a specific book that we can incorporate into that blog post. And we even have key quotes from that book that we can incorporate into this blog post. And they're all specific to the content of this blog post, as opposed to being very general. And the thing is that this is a very basic outline, even though it's more comprehensive than most outlines you would see. And so as a result, we can go even deeper. So imagine being able to do this with something like a book. We can actually get key insights from multiple books and key quotes from multiple books. And so we have this one centralized document that becomes the ultimate resource for whatever piece of content we want to create. So before we finish up, I want to recap everything here. So you can see here that we've gone through a couple of different use cases. The first being synthesizing a book or a podcast or any other piece of information. You could do the same thing for a set of meeting notes for a client. This is applicable across all sorts of different contexts. And so one of the reasons I chose to do content is because I'm a content creator, and that's where I felt that I would get the richest examples out of this. But you can see here that we have different examples. And what I'll do is I'll include a template with a link that you can download with a generalized version of all of this. We've gone through outlining a blog post using smart cards, and we've even done some stuff for a key resource that we might want to use. And I think what smart cards really allow you to do is automate your entire process of research. And if we wanted to, we could take all this stuff that we've created and we could put it into a collection for that specific blog post. We could have easily created individual smart cards if we wanted to. This is just a matter of personal preference. I like actually having all that stuff in one comprehensive note, but we can also do individual notes and then just add all of those to a collection in Mem, and they would all still be part of the same collection. So this is actually a really, really useful feature that can be used for all sorts of things. And I think it definitely streamlines the process of research. It just enhances the accessibility and usability of the knowledge that you already have inside of Mem in a way that is far beyond what we were able to do before. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below.